Thank you, Tucker. All right, good evening, everyone. This is Town Council special meeting, including a public hearing. It's Wednesday, May 3rd. It's 7:03 p.m. This will be an in-person and hybrid meeting. Those wishing to participate in the meeting may attend in person or connect on Zoom. It's a web-based conference tool, so that is all available. The links are all on the website. Jump on is ready. We will start with a Pledge of Allegiance. So if y'all are raised.
Flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, Penny is not here, so Mark, you are going to call the roll.
Sure. Robin Bates Mason,
Here.
Rita Bettino,
Here.
Tom Butterworth. Here. Mark Jimsky here. Steve Carl.
Here.
Luke Kaufman.
Present.
Mike Morrow.
Here.
Maria Naughton.
Here.
Kimberly Norton.
Here.
Hillary Ormond.
Here.
Christina Ross.
Here.
Penny Young.
I think she may join later.
Well.
Okay,
You have a quorum?
you have a quorum.
Thank you very much. All right, public hearing. Welcome everyone tonight. There is a sign-up sheet here. If everybody has had a chance that wants to speak and sign up, we'll bring the sign-up sheet up and we'll call the names. Let me, Hillary, can you grab that sheet out there on that right on? Oh, sorry, Tucker.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. All right, if you want to come up and just introduce yourself and give us your name, address, and everybody will have plenty of time tonight because we don't have a lot of speakers. So first up is Barbara Willis. Oh, Barbara Wills. Bruce Willis, it's Barbara. Sorry, it is Barbara Willis. Sorry, Barbara, I knew that.
You wouldn't have wanted to have to do my name. That would have been unbelievable. So it's Barbara Wills and I live on Bennington Place. And I figured I might as well kick over the ant pile first. I'm here to talk about the Utilities Commission size. I feel like there are a lot of us that are very interested in a diverse talent base, and 5 is so diminutive. And I'm also averse to it just being this party and that party. I would like for there to be some unaffiliateds because they're just not really sure if they're 100% all one or 100% the other. And having a larger size will allow that. Thanks.
Thanks, Barbara. Thanks for coming out. Chris Williams.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for your
Chris.
time. Chris Williams, I live at 140 Llewellyn Drive. So like my neighbor here, Barbara, I also am here to speak about the size of the Utilities Commission. And as you can see by the size of your own council here, I think more creates a better outcome. I think more diversity of experiences, more diversity of perspectives, ultimately is going to create a better product from the Utilities Commission. I also think it will allow for more resources to pursue the Utility Commission's agenda most effectively. So I would ask you all to consider enlarging the size from 5 to 7. I think that's probably a good size from a governance standpoint, given all the different topics and all the different demands that the commission will have. And I would also encourage you all to ensure full transparency in the selection process to make sure that we get candidates in there that are being vetted equally based on their backgrounds, the merits of their candidacy. And ensuring that political parties, irrespective of your political view, aren't the governing factor, and it's more about the quality of the candidate that puts the best team on the field. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it. Carter Weiss. Welcome, Carter.
Thank you. This is going to be a familiar theme. I'm here to talk about the size of the Utility Commission. I'm sure you're shocked and amazed. But, and it's a few things here. I'll try to be brief, which is unusual. So the size is important. Obviously, we talked about the diversity and the backgrounds and all of that, but it clearly is becoming politicized already. And if it has any credibility with the regular citizens, it's got to, reflect the citizenship. And if it's just stacked by one group or the other, it's just, we're going to wind up back here again in a few, and next year, the year after, and so on and so forth, or maybe it winds up in litigation or whatever kind of mess, because there's already, a lack of faith, so to speak, in the way the process has been handled to date. So a larger committee, maybe 7, maybe even 9 people, but also if it's 7, 2 Republican, 2 Democrat, and 3 independent, it's probably the way to go. Is right now, if one group behind gets to select people in the other group, and everybody in the middle is kind of marginalized, it just doesn't smell right. We're gonna wind up keep on back here again and back here again. And then on a side note, it would be nice to see a list of everyone who applies. That should be publicly available. It shouldn't be a big secret of who wants to be there, because obviously if you are selected, we'll know who everyone is. So that transparency is really important, I think, to me and to the others here. And then on a side note, because I don't know when, this is not too germane to the subject, but the entire RFP is a decade old, which is kind of nuts if you ask me for a technology RFP. It's my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong. And since we're going into a utility committee, shouldn't that RFP be put to rest and started over again? We obviously have a lot of new technologies. I feel like we're the last town to build a stable for horses when the automobile is coming around. So I'm not sure how you actually put that to rest and start again, but it seems like that should be also on the agenda someplace. I've got no idea how you do that, but thanks for your time.
Thanks, Carter. Joe Paulo.
Members of the town council, first selectman. I want to thank the town council for taking the time to develop this new ordinance. I also want to thank Selectman Corbett for her initiative and Selectman Williams for supporting bringing forward a revitalized utilities commission, a 21st century utilities commission. And remind everyone that the current statute has 6 members. And the ordinance before you is a reduction. And I've heard no case for why we would even consider a reduction. Second, I think the points that my neighbors made are very important, that a larger committee is to the benefit of everyone. More skill sets, more diversity. One of the technologies that will be looked at some point will be satellite, somebody with NASA experience or aerospace experience or engineering experience. So just bringing people who've had previous political positions in the town and are now moving from committee to committee may not be the most healthy way to approach this, because this committee will have to really look at technology issues, look at consumer needs issues, maybe look at some health issues. And so having a diversity of opinion that represents not just the technical side and the political side, but also the residents' side, because ultimately it's the residents who are going to be asked to make a trade, to give up some town land or to give up something in order to get this service that we're supposed to need. And I think it would be important to have representation there from residents or independents, as Chris says. And therefore, I would encourage a committee of at minimum of 7 or 9. It doesn't cost you any money. You're not actually paying them. And it would provide more opportunities for subcommittees. And I think having an odd number is the right way to go, as opposed to an even number, because intuitively you have less chance of a tie vote and a lot of the confusion it costs. So I thank you for your effort.
Thank you very much, Joe. Thanks for coming out. Anyone else from the public want to speak? Tucker, do we have anybody on Zoom? Okay. All right. So that concludes the public hearing portion, and we will move into the next part of the meeting, which is the proposed ordinances. So final review and vote to adopt proposed ordinance as follows. And obviously Tom and Hillary have worked hard getting this to this point, and we thank them for all their efforts. This is the ordinance regarding the reinstatement of the Utilities Commission, including the defined mission. And you can see that in Exhibit A. You flip the page. And obviously, we all attended the meetings leading up to this, so we're all familiar with the language. We're all familiar with, basically A to Z here, all the way through the definition, et cetera. Before we actually get into the approvals and the language, I'd like to take a minute and invite Kevin's here tonight, Kathleen's here tonight, and if either one of them wants to come up. Kev, do you want to say a few words before we get into this and give us a little background?
So I have a few thoughts on the ordinance proposed. I'd have no problem with 7 members rather than 5 as proposed. I also don't think it's necessary to have the first selectman break a tie. I only break a tie on the Board of Finance and the town council. It's unlikely to have a tie with an odd number. But the other thing is, rather than in the charter and in other ordinances, we have a simple sentence that says minority representation. So it doesn't talk about 5 or 6 or 4. It talks about simply the sentence that says there shall be minority representation on the committee in accordance with section 9.16A of the Connecticut General Statutes. That statute could change. Right. So, but that's our standard provision throughout all the boards and commissions in the charter. So, rather than picking a number, I would stick with the standard language.
Yeah, so we mirror what the state does on that.
And that statute could change.
Yeah.
I think it's been in existence like 50 years, but. Anyway,
Thank you.
Those are my comments.
Thank you, Kev. Appreciate it. Kathleen.
I want to thank, first of all, I just want to thank all of you for all the work, especially, everybody's been involved in the work on sort of introducing the Utilities Commission. Thank you so much. I know everybody's worked very hard on it. I agree with Kevin's suggestion. And I think in a lot of the language on other boards and commissions, it just references the state statute, which tells you, for instance, in a commission of 5, no one party should be more than 4. So I think if you just reference that statute, you don't have to pick a number. So I agree with that. I also want to thank the community, because if it wasn't for many of the members here in the audience, they have shown passion and advocacy about many different things, but certainly with respect to cell service, they were our research team in many ways. If anybody didn't get that Joe Paolo notebook, you're missed out on a lot, because he really provided a lot of great insight and perspective, and I'm most grateful for that. I just wanted to go over 3 quick things. One is the process for the interviews and, getting to meet the people that have expressed interest. It just should be known that we haven't actually gone out and tapped somebody on the shoulder and said, gee, you ought to be considered. We've been broadcasting over the last 3 months that anyone who does have interest in serving on the Utilities Commission or want to express their interest to provide their cover letter and a CV to the Board of Selectmen. So we've been hopefully good about getting that word out there. And as a result, I've heard directly from 9, not including the incumbents, and I'll have a word about those individuals as well, but 9 individuals. And then just today, I heard possibly 3 more, but have not come through the Board of Selectmen as of yet. And just to address some of the issues raised by our earlier speakers, I am so pleased with the diversity of candidates, and starting first with experience, a broad array of experience, from aerospace engineers to people who are legal lawyers, and just people with electrical experience, a really broad array. Also a broad array of political party, including ours, Republicans, Democrats, unaffiliated, and an independent.
Wow.
So a real mix there. And that's terrific. And as a part of the process, we're trying to make the best efforts, obviously, of the RTC, the DTC, any of, if there are any candidates that come through there, they want to recommend. I've actually have sent a number of the Rs and the Ds to the respective town committees, and they're going through their review process as well. But the Us and the Is don't have that opportunity, so we want to make sure that they have every opportunity to speak with each of the selectmen as we go through that process, and that's underway. You've given us a tight timeline, 45 days, and whether that's truly enforceable, I'm going to take it very seriously. And actually, the 45 days really makes a lot of sense because we want to get this commission in place before the start of the summer months. So I think the timing should align with that very nicely. I also support a number greater than 5, 6, or 7. It certainly, I think, would be a great number. I was mistaken. A couple of people, I had thought that perhaps we could have a subcommittee of the Utilities Commission that included people that perhaps were not going to be members of the commission. I learned subsequently that I can't do that, or we can't do that, but that in fact, subcommittees, just like the ones you have on your own town council, they have to be members of the committee. So that's why larger is better. So we certainly respect that. Finally, as far as timeline, and I have spoken to all 3 members currently listed on the website as members of the Utilities Commission. The way it is now, it's not that they're no longer members because their term expired, even though it is a 3-year term, but until they're replaced and that they didn't officially resign. So I'm going to work with each of them to make sure that they do the proper paperwork. I've talked with the town clerk. She needs signatures and ink, and then she reports that to the state. And so I'll get that underway. One of our incumbents has kindly offered, Derek Bennett has kindly offered to help with a transition with the new Utilities Commission, kind of tell them how it was for him and any issues that they might need to be aware of. I will say the mix where we ultimately end up, and that'll be decided by the 3 selectmen, we might actually, conscript you, Steve, to help us think through that, because I'm not permitted to have meetings with the first selectman and so forth. So we'll have to find a way that all of our best ideas come together, and then we create a commission. I don't think there's going to be very many differences. There's people with experience on boards and commissions here, and that actually, I think you all know, that brings something to the table when you have had that experience. So we're happy to see that. And then we have many new people, and I think that's what makes me most excited, is that there's a real genuine interest from so many people, and so we're excited about that. Anybody have any questions?
Any questions for Kathleen?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Thank you for all your work on this.
Sure.
And for,
The
getting all
collaborative
these
effort.
Candidates together and working on the process to include Us and Ds and all those in independent. Is there any way that the deliberation process could be public instead of it being something that was not open to the public?
Well, I'm happy to, once we get everything together, I think somebody suggested, let's see the list of candidates who have applied and so forth. And I think we should notify people that if they'd rather not have their name publicized, they should let me know. And, but I think just to be fair, but yes, no, we will go through the process. It will be very transparent about that process, and make our recommendations accordingly. And it'll have to come before the Board of Selectmen. Ideally, and just help me with the dates here, Kevin, we've got a meeting coming up in 2 weeks. I don't know if when is.
So is
your
that, I was
timeline?
going to ask, like, what the deadline for an applicant or candidate would be, if 2 weeks sounds like a reasonable time to get the word out there, and hopefully folks will be talking about this meeting maybe, and
I reached out to John Chris, who's for the RTC and the DTC, just to say, if you'd be kind enough to send us, your recommendations before our next meeting, which is 2 weeks from yesterday. Ideally, if we can get that through the mid-May meeting, and then have the Utilities Commission have their first meeting in June, that's a good start before the summer months. That would be ideal. If we have to go till June 2nd, I believe, is our June meeting. That is tight, but I'm still within your 45 days. So,
Well, and I think
if we have any material changes to this tonight, we might have to restart.
So that's, well, we'll,
Period. So you could have 45 days from when we adopt this. I mean, and the 45 days is in the resolutions, it's not in the actual ordinance, so.
Right.
But if we make material changes based on commentary tonight, then we would have to restart this 2-week period and have another public hearing before we could adopt it formally. That's the question.
yeah, so that that's something that we'll probably discuss. I mean, we could adopt it with the intent of amending it at a future date too, because it sounds like everybody's on board and ready to go. And, pass it with the intent of trying to add more members to it, but it's up, I guess that's up to did the town attorney weigh in on that, on the approval and then?
Well, what he said is, we can't tonight complete the adoption of this and change the number of members. We have to go through a whole notice period before, because it's in the view of the town attorney, it would be a material change. But we have options as to how we approach that. One option is that if the only change that people feel strongly about is just that number,
Yeah.
that we could go ahead and make a decision on that tonight on a preliminary basis, start the notice period up and get it done pretty quickly.
How long, and when we say 2 weeks, I mean, it's 2 consecutive weeks or is it just 2 different? Yeah, so you could do it quicker than
And get it ready
two,
so
full
that
weeks.
it's our next scheduled meeting, maybe.
Yeah.
And you could certainly act like the 45 days starts.
There's
no
hesitation.
Yeah.
Speed to
Sure.
populate this as if because assuming that that is our only material change, other than perhaps, I think Kevin's idea or suggestion to change the composition with regards to minority representation to just reflect the statute is a good one. And so but I don't see that as a material change, but changing the number is, but I would say, I agree with you that we should move with deliberate speed too, although never mind. To populate this and get it moving. So I don't think that notice period should delay that.
Thanks, Hillary.
So,
Anything else for Kathleen? Rita?
just 2 quick questions. One, could you just remind everyone the process, if you are an unaffiliated or an independent, how they can get before you, what that process is? And also curious, how are we getting the word out to folks? Because if they're not watching this, they may not, know what's necessarily going on. Just wondering how, as a town, we're letting folks know what they can do.
So I think we started, Kevin, was it in February? I think we first started to say, anybody interested, kindly send your CV and cover letter to the Board of Selectmen. We said that publicly in virtually every meeting since then. You're right, not everybody follows our meetings. I think it was covered probably in one of our, newsletters or newspapers in terms of, any interested party. But it was, I don't know that.
Is it on the website?
On our website? No. So other than just through our public communications, there are great examples, and I'm going to bring this to your attention once we get this Utilities Commission up and running, that 2 towns I know locally do a great job of putting on a website saying, here's the Health and Human Services Commission, here's an opening, we've already reached our capacity of any one party, therefore anybody applying, please be a you or an I or, some other party. So that I'd like to see us adopt something like that so we can get the word out about openings. So that's to come after we get this done. But, maybe if somebody wants to pick up one more time, I could possibly put it in Facebook Bombs or, the New Canaanite or New Canaan Advertiser. But as I said, thus far, and this is kind of, this is a living, breathing commission, right? So we'll always get people who are interested, and as things start to change and grow, hopefully we'll continue to see interested candidates.
Yeah, I mean, I think for any commission, right?
Any commission,
For
yes.
utilities, for the
Right.
affordable housing, it's just great to be, because most people that I know aren't watching these meetings.
Right.
And I think if they knew, they might be interested. So just trying to figure out ways I'm a marketer at heart, I'm trying to get the word out. How do we get out there to the public? So that's one thing. And then, so you and I would just send their resume or their
CV
and
and-
CV.
and cover
to be
letter,
Board of
yes.
Selectmen, right?
Board of Selectmen,
I
and we
just
all
wanted to-
get it, and then we all, up to each of us individually, how, much we want to get involved in the discussion
Got
and
it.
so forth, and I've met all but one thus far, and hopefully that will finish up this week.
Great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, Rita, short of a push notification where the town actually pushes out the ask, we have the ability for emergencies to use that kind of push, but for stuff like this, it's difficult to try to,
I have a
I-
couple of ideas.
well, that'd be
We can
great.
take
because,
that
I mean,
offline.
As Kathleen says, that we're limited in terms of our reach. Or, I mean, we could put it on our own website, but nobody goes to our website to
That's not true.
to look at that.
Have something to deal with. Every time I open up the website, it automatically jumps to the bottom of the page. Why does it do that?
Website in a couple weeks.
That's so maddening.
New website in a couple of weeks. That's good news. Okay. Deep,
We do.
some do, but the number of followers we have is probably limited. I mean,
Yeah.
that's,
Yeah.
Mike Diamond, can you do it? Did you hear? Do you hear?
we can reach, I'll read it. I'll reach out to.
Yeah,
I
again,
think
I
we
think
have a
there are
great-
several things we can do that I know
Yeah.
that we can do. So we should just follow up on that. Yeah.
I just, as long as it doesn't delay us further.
No.
in
No,
terms
no,
of
we're not-
that,
we don't
and
wanna
we-
do
right
In
now,
general, this is for
in
anything.
general,
Yeah.
Right, I think that would be great if we could do that, so.
Thank you, Kathleen.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for all your
Thanks.
tips. Appreciate it. All right, so back to discussion.
I think the most straightforward thing, I think, is probably to vote on the adoption of this as it reads now, which it would take effect. On the other hand, the other approach is to say, because it's somewhat likely that we're going to make a change to the text, let's not adopt anything in a formal base. In other words, no final adoption tonight. It wouldn't become, whatever we vote on tonight wouldn't become effective. But what we could do is take a read as to whether everybody was on board with the same changes, and then draft that up, which
Yeah, so basically
But
what you're
wouldn't-
talking about is have this be the entire, this is what we're going to do. We announce it tonight. We're definitely going to do this. And then the formality is literally just a vote at the end. And so everybody knows exactly what we're doing. We can populate it, everything, it moves forward, except for that final vote, which we're going to just basically check the box.
do you have an opinion, Hillary?
I like that idea.
Which one? I'll just be clear.
That where I wouldn't want to formally adopt this tonight as it reads now with the 5. I think that we should make the
Right.
change and make it clean and.
And then
And-
do, and signal that that's exactly what we're going to do.
want to do.
Get it noticed, get it done, and then the work can continue.
Doesn't there need to be another public hearing if we change?
Yeah.
the
Yeah, there will
ordinance?
be, there will be.
Whatever,
And two
unless
more
we're going to
things.
keep this identical to this, there
Yes, I
has to be
understand.
another public hearing.
That's what I figured.
I don't think it's slowing down anything. I mean, the interview process is happening. So I just think this is more of,
It's
let's
a
get it right
formality.
first. I don't think we're losing anything by
So
waiting.
this meeting tonight was designed to deliberate on this draft, which, by the way, we've been working on this for quite a while, and we're getting a lot, our best input is coming at the end of the process, which is fine. But even though tonight was intended structurally to act on the thing that was noticed, this piece, I think we could change that process and say, well, let's not have that be what the meeting's about. The meeting should be about structuring a new proposal.
Yeah, so there, basically, with Kevin's addition there about the statute, I guess you and Hillary will get the language inserted in there.
Well, that's so obvious that we could, I think, agree in concept. There's no difference between the concept and the wording.
Correct.
So we would vote tonight on, that would be one of the things we would vote on. Should we change the specific reference to 4 members to a statutory reference?
Right.
And then we'll put the wording around that.
And
um,
Christina, I'm sorry, Tom.
yeah.
Christina had a question here.
I also, in follow-up to Kevin's comment, the first selectman shall not vote in case of a tie. So you want to make that change as well.
Yeah, so that'll also, I think that's a good thing that'll circle around the number of people that are on the commission. So let's talk about the number a little bit and just a little background. If you recall, the reason that we went with 5, as Kathleen indicated earlier, we had actually discussed the possibilities of having, little committees off of the 5, have as many as 6 or 7 people studying a certain issue. And we figured out after the fact that we can't do that. And they actually have to be on the commission to be in a subcommittee. So I would fully support expanding it. I actually like the idea of 7 because of the odd number. But that's up for discussion. So let's open it up. And
I
Christina,
would like to see 9. I think that the appetite to have diversity on the committee,
put your mic down there. Just so
the appetite to have diversity on the committee and expertise is great. And we should just do it. I think that the number of members to a committee has ranged. 12, I think, is the maximum, but I think 12 would be too unruly. It should be an uneven number. And 9 sounds like it's the right number to me.
Okay, Mark.
Yeah, I think I'll quote Selectman Williams when he said, probably best not to turn anyone down. If we have 9 people, then the more the merrier. And to echo everyone else's comments.
Yeah, I have a comment. I don't know if my mic is on. Can you hear me, Tucker?
Not really.
I don't know how to, my light is not on here. I'm sorry. Is there a way to
Here's my, yeah.
turn it? Oh, thanks, Tom. All right, I'm gonna use my colleague's mic.
That's better.
Could we hold off on that?
No, go
Okay.
ahead.
So I looked at a bunch of committees, and the numbers range from 5 to 11. Health and Human Services has 9 members. I looked at the Park and Rec. It said 7 or no fewer than 11. So I'm erring on the side of Christina's comment of 9 and even thinking about 11, giving the flexibility because there are so many people that have come out to want to be on this committee. It doesn't, if you said 7 or no fewer than 11, it doesn't mean that you have to have 11. It could fluctuate. It's just a part of what's defining the number. So I'm willing to go a little bit broader on the number.
Thanks, Kim.
Thank you.
I know you've been an advocate for that from the beginning, so you were on the right track for sure.
Thanks, Steve.
Anybody else on the number, Rita?
I mean, I was gravitating toward 9. My only concern was I was thinking we wouldn't have enough. And now it sounds like the interest is there. So if the interest is there and we can get the experience, then I like the idea of saying, personally, I think 9 is the right number, but no fewer than 7. And up to 9 or however, whatever number we come up with. This way, if we don't have the full, roster, we can still get things done. And that I think that would work.
Thank you. All right, looking at.
Steve,
Zoom.
it's Luke.
Hey, Luke.
Hey, hello. I think I agree 100% with both Rita and Kim. I think no fewer than 7, but 9 is an excellent number, and I think that would fit extremely well and a very balanced platform for representation.
Thank you, Luke. Robin, Penny, Mike.
Yeah, I think we should go with 9. The amount of talent we have in this town never ceases to amaze me. During some of the cell tower discussions, I mean, literally blown away by the talent we have. So let's harness it, and I support 9.
Thanks, Mike.
I would support 9 as well.
Thank you, Robin. How about you, Penny?
Not to exceed 9, because that might, then fluctuate within the committee, depending upon how many, getting people approved and all that other kind of stuff, but I think it's good.
Yes, I need to understand that concept and how that works. So if I'm sitting on the Board of Selectmen and somebody resigns or 3 people resign, do I reappoint 3 people or do I appoint some lesser number that I feel like appointing? Why can't we just say how many members that we want on this committee?
What? Yeah, my concern was only if it couldn't run without. So I'd say you say it's 9, but and you want to optimally have 9, but if something happens and two aren't there, I just want to make sure it's, it's.
As long as you have a quorum.
Right, so and that's, I mean, that's, if that's, I don't want any reason to like doubt or to undermine the committee, that's all. I wanted to make it clear that it's okay if there's less, but ultimately we need 9. That's kind of where I am at. Yeah, I'm fine with that.
All right.
I agree.
Christina?
I'm,
I was looking at Maria first, sorry. And I said Christina. Maria, you first, then Christina. I'm sorry.
9, say a number and go with that. I think it could get too large if you have too many people. I just stick to 9.
Good. Thank you, Christina.
and I'm assuming that it's 9 full members, that there are no alternates. So this is, okay, that's it.
Good question. Kathleen, you look like you want to say something. Well, come up to the mic. And Kevin, you can come up to the mic too. You should weigh in on this. You guys are going to be in the middle of this, so you can weigh in.
This is a selfish thing. It's why we so far have 9. 2 are a married couple, so they wouldn't be on both of them at the same time. So I think I'm in favor of 7. I liked actually, Kim, your notion, 7, no more than 9, or however the language, Tom, that you would accept. But I think 7 would be great. And, if you want to go 9, that's fine too. Just a little extra work on our part. That's okay. But anyway, I think to just get started would be awesome to have 7. And if you want to go a little further, a little bit more challenging, honestly, but we'll do whatever you recommend.
Thank you.
Yeah, we
Kathleen.
wouldn't want to be putting people on we didn't think were fully, qualified.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot in this particular commission. There's a lot of research and a lot of work that's got to be done. So, that's,
Indeed, yeah.
it's
But I will
a
say
big
the-
lift.
The 6-member commission that was before, sometimes only having one person focus on something is not worth it because there'll be people who don't accept that. So I think more is better. And so, 7 is, I'm certainly in favor of. Certainly the qualifications here, they cross the whole gamut of public utilities, which is great. If you say 9, we'll do it. We'll work hard and find 9 great people. So, but ready to get started with 7, that's for sure.
Thank you. Kevin.
I noticed that the only commission that has, other than a fixed number, is the Parks and Recreation Commission. It says no fewer than 7 and no more than 11, and we always appoint 11. So I don't think that makes a lot of sense to do that. I did notice the Parking Commission, I do break ties.
Oh,
So,
controversial.
Council.
but by statute, I'm actually ex officio on all boards and commissions and committees, so I don't need to even have the language.
So
What do you think about the number of members?
I would have preferred 7, but I have no problem with 9.
All right, thank you. All right, it sounds like we have a consensus at a minimum of 7 and max 9. We just have to figure out the language. So how do you want to proceed?
Well, I think we make 3 motions. One is to change to the number. Is it 9? That would be the first motion. The second one would be to change -2, 12-2 to the statutory reference to the minimum representation or maximum of the majority party. And then also to delete, third motion to delete -3C, which is the reference to the ex officio and the tie break. So with those 3 motions, then we end up with a different proposal that we can reword in a half an hour and hand off to Tucker, and she can start the notice process if we adopt those 3 resolution.
That's great.
Motions.
All right, so you want to make the motions and Hillary will second them as we go.
Or vice versa. So I would move that we adopt the proposal set forth in Exhibit A with 3 modifications. I guess I don't need to say that. That's background. Anyway, the first modification that I would propose is to amend 12-2 by striking the last sentence and replacing it with a reference to state statute 9-167A.
You know, the standard sentences, there shall be more minority representation in accordance with section 9-167A of the
Yeah.
Connecticut General Statutes.
Right.
So it's not with respect to the majority party, it's with respect to guaranteeing minority representation. So
Anyway, that language works.
Thank you, Kevin. That's an excellent addition.
Do I have a second?
Second,
All in favor?
Any discussion? No, looks good. Okay, well, that was unanimous.
And the second? Where am I here?
12-2.
Oh, right here, 12-2, back to 12-2 with the
First sentence.
Oh, yeah.
second,
So the second resolution would be, or motion would be to amend 12-2 to require a committee composed of 9 members in lieu of the current 5.
So the just the number changes, so it'll read not more than 9 members of the same, oh, wait, no,
No.
no, that's struck,
no.
Yeah.
Shall be composed of 9 members
period.
appointed by the Board of Selectmen.
Okay,
Second.
discussion.
Me.
That was Hillary. So just to clarify that, we said not up to, it's 9,
No, we're going with the number.
9 period. Okay, let's make that clear. It's 9. 9 is 9.
Can we restate that for the record?
Absolutely. What a surprise you would say that.
So it will now read the Utilities Commission section, the second sentence of section 12-2 will read the Utilities Commission shall be composed of 9 members appointed by the Board of Selectmen.
Is your mic on? Yeah.
Nope.
No.
Shall I read that again?
Yeah.
Section 12-2, the second sentence will now read the Utilities Commission shall be composed of 9 members appointed by the Board of Selectmen.
Is that what you meant? What you're asking?
Yes.
Yeah,
thank you.
just to clarify
Well,
for
it was,
the
I
record.
just wanted to make sure that it was in the minutes correctly and
Yeah.
that we didn't get confused.
Thank you, Kim.
Any,
Any discussion
I
on that?
just and maybe this is because I'm a newbie. I just want to make sure I'm understanding it correctly, because I think 9 is the right number. So let's say we found 7 really good people, but we're not like haven't found those extra 2 people yet that we think are the right people. It can still operate with 7.
Yeah, if you had a quorum.
What's the quorum for 7, for 9?
So that's my
Nine
that's my
members?
concern. My concern.
if the ordinance says 9, the Board of Finance, Board of Selectmen has an obligation to appoint 9. We will appoint 9. So we can't
Well,
say we're.
that's why I wanted,
I'm
that's why I
concerned
wanted
about that.
the up to language gives a
Yeah.
little bit of
Yeah,
flexibility.
I like the flexibility because right now we have a lot of people are interested.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's always going to be the case, and I would hate to handcuff this committee. I think ideally 9's the right number, but appointing people just to appoint people is not.
Decides though? Who decides what the number?
I mean, I
is?
would trust the Board of Selectmen to make that decision. I mean, they're the ones vetting the people.
So you're asking the Board of Selectmen to decide how many members? should-
No,
No.
I'm saying it should be 9, but if we don't find, I also don't think there should be pressure to find 2 extra people or even 1, maybe it's
Sure.
8, whatever. If we're not finding the right people, I think I would like to give a little bit of that flexibility, and I trust the Board of Selectmen to
Well,
to
and
do
we've
that.
also put in a lot of transparency into this particular process. We've just talked about, putting the names out there, putting the process out there and doing all that. So,
If we do that,
I don't have an issue with Christina.
We had many people come up and speak during the hearings, and I feel that we have more than enough qualified individuals.
right now,
But if we, for any reason, did not, you're thinking only of the specific knowledge to those things that compose the reason for the commission, whether it's IT or whether it's telephones or cell towers or whatever it may be, or water. But the reality is that you could also use an attorney. You could also use
yes.
other types of expertise that are not necessarily focused on the utilities itself, but on the realm surrounding it.
Mhm.
So I think we wouldn't have a problem.
So maybe we have a lot of commissions, we have a lot of committees in this town. Again, it's more, I don't dispute that we should have 9. I like 9. I think we're just, I think I'm just trying to give them a little bit more
You want the-
flexibility.
You want
That's
the
all.
cake and to eat it too. Just go.
Well, no, that's why I suggested it initially, because it's on the Park and Rec Commission and it's kind of based on supply and demand. Like right now, there's a huge interest in this committee.
Right.
Maybe in 3 years, whomever will do such a great job that we won't have such interest, right? So it gives flexibility. We don't have to be static. I mean, I know people are more comfortable with the number, but like the way the wording is in the Park and Rec, it says at least 7, but
Right.
no more than, no fewer, what does it say? At least 7 and no more than 11. So it does give a range.
Yeah.
And I also trust the Board of Selectmen to come up with the candidates. And I don't think it's a bad idea to have them that at their discretion, even though Kevin said they have the maximum number anyway. But has that always been the way, Kevin, or is there sometimes less?
So, Parks and Rec is the only one that said no fewer than 7.
Do you know why it's like that?
But again, we always had, it's a very popular commission, to be honest, so we always.
Yeah, we always, Park and Rec is one that we seem to be able to fill.
Right.
But I mean, remember, guys, we're writing an ordinance tonight and the shelf life on these things, the last time we had the Utilities Commission put together was a long time ago. I mean, what was the date on the last one? What was, it was 80s that we? 87, yeah. So that's why when we do this, it's not just reacting to what the issue is today. It's
Yeah.
thinking about the next,
Agree.
Hillary.
Two small points.
yeah.
To Rita's point, I think there's a vast difference between people who are willing to get up and speak at a hearing and those who are willing to serve on a commission. And I think we need to keep that in mind because it is a big commitment for people to then volunteer their time. And I think we do ask a lot of our volunteers and people are willing to serve. And I think that's amazing. But I think we should keep the two separate. And when you have, I guess a quorum was just a quorum of the people who are serving. So if you have 7 people who might be serving if you gave a range, it would be a quorum of the 7 people who are appointed at the time or 11, depending on the size of the commission as it's sitting at the time. So having that range doesn't affect. Okay.
I'm just not,
from a-
I'm not comfortable legally. And maybe it's not a legal problem, but from a governance problem of sort of a separation of powers perspective, I mean, delegating to some other body, the decision of how to apply our ordinances that we adopt, I'm not comfortable with now. Maybe the lawyers would say, no, it's just fine, it's common and it's great. But
That's the
it
way,
just
I
makes
mean,
me uneasy.
I get the point, Tom, but that's the way it's been. I mean, we're the legislative side. We pass it on to the Board of Selectmen. They,
No, but
it's the,
as Kevin pointed out, that's not the way it's been. The only case where there's a lesser of, or, no
Yeah.
greater than is one commission that has never utilized that provision. So I'm not
Well,
sure there's any precedent.
We don't know how, I mean, Kevin, you've been doing this for 6 years. I mean, how long does that ordinance go back? I mean, there's a reason why it was developed that way.
I have no idea why it says
Park and
no
Rec's a
fewer than
lot.
7, but we've always had a full complement of 11 that I know.
Right.
People want to be on that commission.
and you've read through the others. There's no up tos on any of the other
No,
ones.
no, that's unusual.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So obviously there's set numbers on.
Everything else is one number.
yeah.
Some have alternates because that's the state statute requires they have alternates.
Kathleen.
If I can just point you to the language on 12-4, and I think this addresses Rita's question on the organization. It says promptly after the initial, it says 5, if it was 9 members of the Utilities Commission are sworn in, and then again every December. So the question is, can we not start the Utilities Commission until all 9 are sworn in? Can we not start the Utilities Commission when only 7 are sworn in? That's my question. And that's what I wonder what 12-4 says.
Yeah, and we've in all of these commissions, you have the alternating years
Yeah.
as people are assigned a 2-year or a 3-year or 4
3
years.
years, yep.
3-year. So everybody, you have to roll off at a certain,
You'd like to stagger them because
Yeah.
you don't want them, and you have that under 12-3.
right?
I would just say, and as I said, on behalf of the Board of Selectmen, and you heard Kevin say 9, we can do 9. It's just when can we start? Do I have to wait until all 9 go through the process?
Hmm.
I don't have the answer to that. I think this language is drafted says I have to wait until I get all 9.
And I think in my opinion, 5, we all feel 5 isn't enough. And I would be still comfortable with 7 people, even though 9 would be
Yeah.
ideal. So I guess that's where I am at too.
Well, then,
But-
that's how I feel too. Is everybody else still at 9? Because what I'm hearing is there's not 100% confidence that it's easy to find 9 highly qualified candidates in a timely basis. So we've had a surge of
Take
interest.
some time.
You know, keep in mind also a quorum, 5, sometimes you have difficulty getting a quorum. 7, you have more opportunity to get a quorum.
Right.
And 9, on the other hand, then you have to, well, I guess
Five.
it gets, yeah.
You need 5 people but now with Zoom, it's been a little easier to get quorum.
Yeah,
I
that's
think.
true.
Yeah.
Anyway, whatever the number is, that's great. It's just, I know that we can't start until whatever that number is, as the current language is written.
I prefer a number,
Just a hard number.
a hard number, and I prefer to build consensus around that. If 9 is, the Board of Selectmen seem to think 7 is a better number. I could go either 9 or 7, but I prefer a hard number.
We both prefer 7. So
Yeah, no, I was referring to the whole.
I was just gonna say, I mean, every commission has had its ramp up time. Like, I think you
Yeah.
can't build it around the fact that we can't get started until we have all the people. Like, that had to happen at every, beginning of a commission. So I like 9. My other thought is, lots of times people may leave commissions and you have an opening. Does that mean these commissions stop working?
No, they never stop working. They try to fill the position in a timely
Right,
manner.
so we're sort of in that.
But getting it off the ground is Kathleen's, her concern, like we've given them 45 days and that's a tight timeline. So in order to get it up and running, we have to have we should have the number that we're going to start with to start, to give them the dates that they start.
Sounds like we do, though. I mean,
It sounds like we do, especially with the number of people that have spoken. And I think the public has said that they would like to see the number increase.
Oh, we heard them loud and clear. So that we went from 5, we're already at 7. The question is, are we at 7 or are we at 9? And it has to be a hard number. So
Yeah. And I think Hillary made a really good point. There's one thing to get up and spend an evening to express your opinion, but to actually commit to this committee or this commission, it's a pretty big commitment. So I think we have to keep that in mind.
One thing I'd like to comment on is that there's a point of view, which I respect, which says that, and I don't think it's been raised tonight, so I don't want to pick on it, but I think it might be in a little bit in people's minds, is that there's a point of view that I need to represent all interest groups or all points of view. And I would simply say that I think every member that sits on this commission should represent all points of view, should do the balancing as to be fair and objective. So if you think that going from 7 to 9 gets you a broader sampling of points of view, I'm not sure that's a valid reason to go to 9. I think if it's 7, I think those 7 people have to represent the whole town.
Hopefully have a level of impartiality, not just, they're open to all sides.
Right. Also think that there's a premium on expertise. We've seen that some of this stuff is highly technical, and you want to get as many very technical people you can, but I don't think you're going to find more than 7 highly technical people. I don't know if other people would agree.
But it's a combination of things, their availability to meet and so forth.
Yeah, I also think mothers, fathers, you don't have to be a NASA scientist to be on the committee. So I actually welcome and invite people to apply that don't have expertise.
I don't think, I think every member would represent the community, but I think the concept was that the members would reflect different elements of the community. So I think that's
Perspectives.
Yeah,
maybe, right?
that's why I think
Yeah.
9 is kind of gives you a broader representation or reflection.
I have to be honest, I'd be okay with 7 or 9.
I'm at 9.
Let's give it a shot. Go with 9.
Go with 9. I agree with Maria. What
Did
about
you-
Luke and Mike?
Well, Mike weighed in at.
He said 9. Mike said 9.
And Robin said 9.
9.
That sounds like that's.
All right, so now it sounds like that's the.
I thought 9 was a good number. I think all the discussion is very validated. But I think that's a good, that's a good balance.
So I don't remember, did we have a motion for 9
Yes.
and a second?
There's a motion on the floor. Yes, I
Yeah.
seconded your motion for 9. I just reread it.
Thank you.
About an hour ago.
So you want to vote?
So then-
Yeah, so motion on the floor, we'd have to vote anyway. So motion on the floor for 9
Members of the committee.
members of the committee.
Commission.
Sorry, commission. Thank you, Hillary. All in favor of 9, raise your hand. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8. Oh, yeah. Okay. I came out of the chute saying 7, so I'm going to stick with my 7.
Okay.
I should probably stick with mine then.
Yeah. All right, Rita. Yes or no?
Yes.
Maria,
Yes.
Christina,
Yes, 9.
Mark,
Yes.
Hillary,
Yes.
Kim,
Yes, 9.
Tom,
No.
Penny,
9.
Yes.
Mike. That's it.
Yes.
Robin,
Yes, 9.
Luke,
He said 9 before.
Luke, you there? Yeah, he said 9 earlier. We heard him. Oh, he has to, does he? have to- oh,
Yeah,
There you
yes, 9.
Okay,
Yes,
thanks,
9,
Luke.
sorry.
Thank you very much. And I'm a no, so that's 10-2. I was just in agreement with the Board of Selectmen, trying to make their job a little easier, but that's fine. They're gonna work. And thank you for that debate. That's a worthy debate, and that number will stay there for a long, long time. So we appreciate it, and it's gonna be a broad committee. And anybody watching the meeting, anybody watching the commission, sorry, anybody watching the meeting, please raise your hand if you would like to serve. We'd love to entertain as many resumes for this job or these jobs as possible. So, all right, any more?
Just
Yeah.
final, Steve.
Yes.
On paragraph 12-3, we're crossing out paragraph C.
Where are we there?
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
Pardon me?
Tucker?
Yeah, and
The numbers
14
have to add.
12-4, you got to change promptly after the.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, that's implied.
So we'll change
5 to 9.
12-3A.
Yeah, so we're gonna change that to, it'll be 4 and 5.
Well,
5.
what,
3, 3, 3.
so you'd have 3 come on for like a year and 3 come on for 2 years and 3 come on for 3 years.
Much better way to do it.
So the first. Yeah, we need to make that change.
So this
So the
is,
first term, so what this would, so where it says 2 members to serve until July 1, 2025, that would be 3 members. And then the next, and 2 would be the same, and then there would be an A3, which would be 3 members to serve until July 1, 2027.
24, right?
No. 27.
27.
That's 3 years out.
3, 3, 3. 3, 3, and 3 is 9.
yeah, but would it be
25,
20
26,
years, 24, 25, 26, or we're gonna take 25,
So you
26,
have 1
27?
year, 2 year, 3 year, and then you stagger from there.
Yeah, because it's starting
Then
in
you have a-
23, so it's 1 year to
Oh,
Someone
24.
serving 4 years
But then
doesn't.
somebody's serving only 6 months. If it's done by December.
Then you
Well,
would
this is Jill.
Okay.
They can be,
It's just to get things going.
Okay.
Period when you're putting it in, the terms don't
Yeah.
officially start until.
It's for later.
So this would work, the 25, 26, 27 would be.
Okay,
Oh, okay.
Okay,
thank you, Tucker.
So it's gonna be 25, 26, 27.
great.
All right, let's see, any other additions, deletions? Do we have all our, we'll check all of our dates just to make sure before we publish it, obviously.
We're gonna take the first selectman breaking the tie out.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, we're gonna strike
We're gonna
that.
take, we're gonna strike that whole C, I think. Because you're an ex officio member regardless, right? Understand.
Although for some reason, most of the boards and commissions have it in there, so I don't know why.
Do we need,
Not-
it's
not-
not necessary.
Not
that
counting
we-
toward a quorum.
Yeah.
Yeah, and with an odd number, hopefully there'll be fewer ties, we hope.
So we also have to make that minor change to the Affordable Housing Committee.
Yeah, so are we finished with the utilities?
Please.
All right. And thank you for the public, that was the public hearing and the discussion on utilities. So thank you all for coming out. Those of you who stayed through it, you've hung in there from the very beginning of time, so we really appreciate that. And so we're going to move on and make an amendment to the affordable housing. So that is the second item on our agenda. That is approval of an amendment to recently adopted Affordable Housing Committee ordinance as follows. And you jump to Exhibit B. And Tom, I'll let you do the fancy explanation here.
Well, so at the very beginning, it says right now in the second sentence for A-1A, it says not more than 6 members should be registered with the same political party. And we would change that in this in the identical way that we changed the utilities ordinance and make it instead a reference to state law, which handles that issue. It's section something -167A of state law. We use the same language as we talked about for the Utilities Commission, rather than designate the.
We don't need a motion for that, right?
Yeah, we should.
You do?
Probably should. And we should as,
It's actually substantively the same
Right.
outcome
Okay.
as we were going to act on tonight. But
the language
the
is,
current language is the wrong number, so
Okay.
it is something we need to vote on, I think.
So,
and for the benefit of Kim and the proper way to do this, we have to read it. Let's read it, get it done. Just read the
Oh.
portion that we're amending.
So,
So
I'm not
read it,
sure we've
read
actually-
it, read it into
read it?
the, yeah, read it
So-
into the minutes.
so under section 4A-1, the second sentence shall now read, there shall be minority representation in accordance with section 9.167A of Connecticut General Statutes instead of what it says now.
All right, that's a motion.
Motion.
That's a
Oh,
motion.
sorry. I move that we change the language to there shall be minority representation in accordance with section 9.167A of Connecticut General Statutes.
That's a motion and it's need a second. Kim, discussion. Anybody out there? Okay. All in favor? And that's unanimous. Thank you very much. All right.
That's the only other.
That's the, what, any,
Excuse me,
yes, Christina.
paragraph 1, C. The first selectman shall serve as ex officio. We should remove that as well.
Where are you here?
C.
4A1C,
See,
Exhibit B,
oh, yeah.
yeah.
same language as in the,
Yep.
Yeah, so that's an automatic, right? He's
Yeah.
ex officio of every,
Want to make the motion, Christina?
I move to remove paragraph C. I mean, line C from paragraph 4A1.
second.
any discussion on that? As far as breaking ties, I can't see that affordable housing would have ties. I don't know. Can't imagine that.
Really enacting.
Yeah. All right, so I think that, anybody else, any discussion out there? Okay. All in favor?
Yeah.
And that's unanimous.
Also have to fix B.
B, okay, thank you, Kevin. Let's go to B. Affordable Housing Committee shall develop scenarios under the moratoria.
You mean B of 4A-1, Kevin?
Oh, 4A-1. Where are you, Ken?
Yeah. 4A-1B. 4-year terms. 3, the initial appointee shall serve 2, and 3, that's only 6.
Oh, so we need.
Oh, yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, it's only 6.
There's 9.
That's what's bold on page 2, top of page 2.
No, toward the bottom.
In exhibit B.
4, 3, and 2.
No, it's,
I don't see it.
it says 3 is the initial shall serve.
Right, there should be
Yeah,
9.
But I don't
it's-
see it.
It's just 6.
3 years.
We have to add another 3.
You have to add another 3, there's 9.
Yeah,
members.
there's only 6.
Yeah.
So do we do 3 shall serve 1 year?
3 shall serve 2
Or the implicate,
It was increased. Yes,
Yeah.
previously.
Well, it's 9 total, so that's why, so
that's an old
wouldn't it be
mistake.
easier
I
to
didn't
do the
ca-
same
catch it before.
years and just spell it out?
Yeah.
Or how do you want to do that, Tucker? Is it easier for you to keep track of this if we spell it out in actual dates, right? And split it up? Much easier to follow going forward, I think. So do you want to apply the same dates that we did before? Yeah,
Makes sense.
Well, it's a little more, it's awkward here because you're gonna have somebody serving 9 years.
that's not service, that's a sentence.
Provided stagger actuation is 3 shall serve a term of 2 years. And 3 shall serve 3 years.
Is that hard to, given that some of these people are like one's on town council, board
Yeah,
of
is it-
finance,
that's
housing authority? like,
Because some of those are
some of them
elected.
Have terms,
Yeah.
like,
some of them are elected.
what if somebody isn't elected again to town council, but they are on a 3-year stagger term?
Yeah.
Well, I think they just inherit the spot, right? Wouldn't that,
No,
wouldn't that be the?
no,
Well, so the council would appoint, let's just walk through this. So the council would appoint somebody to go on
right.
and they would serve the term,
The remaining
the
of the
remaining of
term.
the term, and then, then they would just sort of rotate in. That
Mhm.
would be the way the council would work it.
Right.
The others,
The same because they have to be part of the commission or committee council.
They would just fulfill the remaining term.
whoever was. there.
Oh, okay,
Right.
Yeah.
so it
Yeah.
shouldn't matter,
Yeah.
okay,
So that's implied.
Yeah.
sorry, just, that just
No,
occurred to me.
but it's a good question, Hillary. I mean, that's stuff to think through because it's,
why not make it a term of 3 years and then do the same thing that you're doing with the other
Yeah.
one, 3, 3, 3.
that's what I like. I like that.
Just
Great.
duplicate it, yeah.
So
Is that one we have drafted already?
Yeah, exactly. With the years.
Copy,
keeps it
paste.
Simple.
So what about the start dates for affordable housing? What's everybody thinking as far as getting this populated off the ground? I mean, we didn't put a stip on this for,
As soon as possible.
Do a Deadline.
As soon as
Have
possible.
you gotten any reach outs on this yet?
so we need to cast the net a little bit better for that to,
So I presume you want us to do the same thing. Okay.
I mean, 45 days would be around July 15th.
Difference is you have no resolution here. This is just the,
Exactly.
so.
yeah, that's true. This is just a little edit. No, we don't want to completely
wanna make this-
rewrite it.
Like January 1st or?
Would it be appropriate to put out a record to say that we're looking to sell?
Both?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Both. Why not?
The Affordable Housing Committee and the Utilities Commission.
That's great.
Encourage all of
I think that'd be great.
Sure. All right.
So I
Sorry.
I would not. So given the fact that we're not quite as far along in recruiting, maybe we don't make a deadline.
Right.
Yeah, let's not self-impose a deadline on this because it's, the good news is we have
I agree.
all of the folks, 1, 2, 3, 4 are all in place. So we know that they're already on these boards and commissions. It's just the 5 at-large members that we're gonna need to fill. So, and we're looking for 5.
You have people in mind.
No, I mean, I've actually had a couple of people approach us, so I can give you those names as well. And, we'll start a list and happy to, the transparency thing that, we're talking about tonight is let's make sure everybody knows that it's open for anybody that's interested. Obviously, this is another extraordinarily hot topic in town, so I would imagine there'd be folks that would be interested in serving. So, we just need to get out there and cast the net.
So we just need a motion to clarify, to change. Thank you. A motion to change section 4A-1B to read, I believe. The Board of Selectmen shall make initial appointments to the Affordable Housing Committee as follows: 3 members to serve until July 1, 2025, 3 members to serve until July 1, 2026, 3 members to serve until July 1, 2027. Good, that's a motion.
Second.
Hillary seconds. Discussion? All right, all in favor? And that's unanimous. Thank you.
Oh, Penny, it's Penny.
Oh, Penny,
Okay.
Penny, was that a question or a finger or yeah? Okay,
No.
Okay, good. Thank you, Penny.
Thumbs up.
All right. All right. Is it possible that we're at the end of the meeting already?
Yeah.
Wow.
You want to just,
Well,
don't
just sit here for a
mind.
couple more hours?
Let's argue
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah, let's argue.
No, but we will, on the upcoming agenda, and please reach out, if anybody wants to get anything on our agendas coming up quick. So we'll be back in this room, regular meeting on May 17th, I believe, is the date. It's a Wednesday. Our agenda meeting is May 11th. Tucker, is that right? Thursday?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
May 11th, we get together to set the agenda. So if everybody, you have 8 days basically, or 7 days, we got about a week to get us anything that you want to have on the agenda. So just a reminder that, the agenda is wide open. And a couple of things that I mentioned that the Board of Selectmen took up about some of the part-time employees or at-will employees. We're going to get that on the agenda. We'll talk to Cheryl is talking to the town attorney and trying to get some clarity on that issue. So hopefully we'll be able to get a little bit closer to a decision there as well. And I know there's some other things that are circulating around, but we'll get everything on the agenda. But if you do think of something that you want to just shoot an email to Mark or myself or Penny.
On the part-time employee issue, I would appreciate a little background information before we get to that meeting.
Sure. Absolutely.
The Playhouse update on the agenda.
All right, that's good. Playhouse update, good. What else? Anything else?
there was one at the.
Yeah, but
yesterday,
we
if you-
can get another.
No, no,
Yeah.
just if you wanted to.
Yeah, was everybody able to watch that?
Yeah.
Good. Christina, did you have your hand raised? Or are you motioning to adjourn?
No, not
Okay,
yet.
all right.
Well, that would be me.
Yeah. I just wanted some clarification and perhaps you can elaborate on this, but when I watched the Board of Selectmen meeting, I thought it's been a sequence. It's been an issue that I don't think it's our responsibility to solve. The Board of Selectmen is supposed to be the body making certain decisions as a board. And the issue has become who actually has the power. Is it just the first selectman or is it the Board of Selectmen? That really is something that needs to be addressed in the charter. But I don't think that we're voting, that we should be defining that with an ordinance or anything else. It's not our responsibility. That's a charter issue.
Yeah, we can't dive into things deeply, but that's, we can talk about that at a regular meeting.
Okay.
Good. All right, now I'm looking for that motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Mark,
Second.
Christina, all in favor?
All right.
Thank you very much. Have a good night, guys. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Kathleen.